In 1970, Catherine of Siena, who died on this day in 1380, aged 33, was declared a doctor of the Church. Perhaps she's best understood as a prophet. God called the prophets of old personally. Jesus first appeared to Catherine when she was 6. 10 years later, she joined the Dominican Sisters of Penance. After 3 years in a cell in the family house, Jesus sent her out, explaining that we must walk on 2 feet, love of God and love of neighbor. The prophets of old gave us scriptural images for God and his work. Catherine, too, offers a kaleidoscope of images, not to convey new revelations, for God has spoken his personal word into the world and has nothing more to say. Instead, Catherine helps us appreciate the incarnate word. God the Father explained to her that he made himself visible to fallen humanity by giving us his word, veiled in our humanity, so to speak, kneading divinity and humanity together like one bread. In particular, the shedding of Jesus' blood expressed the divine redeeming work, the divine redeeming love. As Father Kenelm Foster put it, God really did bleed, and all that Catherine does is to dwell on this fact as the supreme image of divine love and the chief motive of ours. An unconscious poet, she thought with symbols, and the blood became the symbol of symbols. The authority of the ancient prophets, though often contested, rested on their privileged access to God and his counsels. Catherine had increasingly permanent access to Jesus. When she was accused of hypocrisy, the Dominican General Chapter upheld her. When cardinals grumbled at the peremptory tone in which she addressed Pope Gregory, he listened to her as she urged him to move the papacy back from Avignon to Rome. Many priests and layfolk recognized Catherine's mother authority as spiritual mother. City-states called on her to broker peace. The New Catholic Encyclopedia says she was rather naive concerning politics. Perhaps instead we should say her peacemaking efforts weren't fully successful because the behavior even of believing politicians, even of churchmen, too often falls short of the ideals God's prophets preach. Catherine was keenly aware how God's thirst for human salvation became visible. She wrote, "Take your lesson from gentle First Truth, who in his restlessly yearning hunger and thirst for our salvation cried out from the wood of the cross, 'I thirst.' It's as if he was saying, 'I am more longingly thirsting for your salvation than I can show you through this finite suffering.'" Catherine's share in Jesus' thirst fired her care for the many people she helped by letter and by deed, as well as her efforts on the public stage. Catherine became more and more closely united with the passion Christ endured to bring God's children into unity. When the behavior of Gregory's successor as Pope helped provoke schism, she felt in herself the sufferings of Christ's body. May her prayers help us share more deeply in Jesus' thirst for people's salvation. May her patronage over Europe bring peace to this continent and help Christian ideals prevail in its politics.